Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Tomoko Rosas and I'm a practitioner here at the center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. A few announcements before we get started. Knowing that everyone had a great 4th of July celebration, and we're continuing the celebration here today. And we are gearing up for our summer raffle once again and calling out for donation of prizes. And the details are in the program. And if you have a business or product that you sell, maybe that's a great way to also advertise to our congregation. So we're looking for some donations for the summer sizzling summer raffle that is going to be probably in September sometime. So we'll be announcing that shortly. And we still have new books and affirmation card boxes for only $5 and limited time only until supplies last. So don't forget to get your books. And let's see, backed by popular demand, we have a new art workshop happening on Sunday, July 26th. We'll give Karen a little bit of break and we're doing another workshop. It's called Japanese Art and Philosophy of Kintsugi. We've done it before and it was wonderful. It's a hands-on workshop and you'll be going home with a one-of-a-kind piece of art that you're going to create on your own. So details are in the program. The Wednesday Spiritual Support Group is ongoing at 1 p.m. and then also Spiritual Mind Treatment Prayer Lab is going on at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays. Unexpected Income Club is doing great and thank you all for your continued support. All right, that's it for me and I'll pass it on to Michael and Tommy. Good.
I need to be still, let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Good morning. Good morning. As we go into service today, we know that our God is at the center of this activity. We know that all things are possible because God is our possibilities. And as we celebrate the 250th birthday of our country, let's give thanks that we're here in America, that we have freedom that a lot of places don't have. And for that, I'm grateful. This is my opportunity to thank all of those that make this service possible, starting with our beloved Board of Trustees, the Coffee Fellowship, the greeters, and of course the music. We're really lucky with the music. My fellow practitioners, the teachers, when they're teaching, help to bring our younger people into this beautiful philosophy that might make their path a little bit easier by knowing the principles of science of mind. And if I've left anyone out, all of you, I thank you, and those at home watching us. Tomoko, and of course, Reverend Dr. Bill, who always delivers a personal message at least to me. And I know this service is perfect, whole, and complete, right where I am, and so it is.
So it is.
I'll stick with tradition today, and it was nice and boisterous for our small crowd. It was nice, the enthusiasm, singing America the Beautiful. But today I'm going to read a prayer for our country written by Ernest Holmes 75 years ago. And it still has as much impact as it must have been in 75 years ago. And it is called My Prayer for My Country by Ernest Holmes. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and activity of all who guides its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are our gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone in this country. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all of us without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind of God contains the answer to every problem which confronts his country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed to this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem, and each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. And one more prayer. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. A heavenly peace flows over me, not because of me, of what I have done or have not, but because I have turned to God, my Father, who is the Prince of Peace. In this moment, I am lifted into divine realization and see the truth about myself, my family, my neighbor, and especially today, our country, my country. I realize that God within me, as intelligence, can clear my way as my mind remains in a state of peace. I no longer fight a battle of appearances because I have accepted victory from within. In this calm trust, I awaken to the truth that all God can do for me must be done through me. This stabilizes my mind, and my answer is assured. Every day I seek to realize more fully the meaning of my peace I give unto you. Because in such moments I see that my quest is answered and my prayer is finished. I thank God, my Father, today for my inner peace. And so it is.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us just remember, it's like I've been sleeping for years. I'm not awake as I can be, but my seeing's better. I can see through the tears. I've been realizing that I bought this ticket, but I'm watching only half of the show. But there are scenery and lights and a cast of thousands who all know what I know. And it's good, and it's so. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and by. It's in every one of us, by and by.
That's Michael Whitney, Tommy Cosentino. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are in July, our new overarching theme being divine freedom. And today, I want to talk about free for all. Now, notice there's no hyphens up there. I'm not talking about a free-for-all. Well, I might. The hyphens make it something a little less desirable than what I'm thinking when I say free for all, because what I really mean, what's free for all, is exactly what we've been talking about so far. What's free for all is the freedom that we have to live and breathe and have our being in that intelligence, that consciousness that we call God, and to allow the presence of it, which is everywhere, always within us, to come to the fore and to produce that life around us that we want to have. So, sometimes, though, that looks more like the free-for-all than the freedom that we have as individuations, shall we, of that divine consciousness. So, as we know, the free-for-all is just it's the kind of thing where anybody and everybody can get involved, and there's no rules, there's no conventions that are paid attention to. It's just pure pandemonium. Think Malay. I mean, it's just absolutely, and everybody, the thing about free-for-all is everybody is out for themselves. There's not even a partnership in there anywhere. It's just everybody going in 100 different directions out to get for themselves something or to do something, generally causing damage in some sort of fashion or other, by themselves, for themselves. And sometimes we experience life kind of like that, don't we? I know. We're not ever involved. It just happens to take place around us, and we get caught up in it sometimes. But when we do, that's our opportunity to understand we don't have to stay in there. We have freedom. We get to choose to leave that situation and to not be involved in it, to enjoy those things that have been provided for us for free. You know, a lot of religion talks about the grace of God and having God's favor. And somehow we have to do certain things in order to get that. You know, we got to go to church, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, and we got to do the other thing. And really, what do we really have to do to get it? We don't have to do a thing. It came with us. It's been ours from the get-go. It's been ours since the inception. It's been ours because that grace of God, the favor of God, is bestowed upon everything. There's a life principle at work here. The life principle doesn't play favorites. It just doesn't. Everybody gets full advantage of every possible thing that's available anywhere in this universe. We don't have to do anything to access it, to have it, to use it for our own, except being able to recognize, one, that it is there, and two, we are entitled to it. I don't like that word, really, entitled. It's got some bad connotation, but we are entitled to it. It's our, part of our heritage, our divine heritage. You know, I don't remember the words, but the word universe comes from, like so many things do, two Greek words put together. And I don't know what those words were because I don't speak Greek, but I do know what it means. I know that it means bringing everything together as one, that there is only one. One. There's one verse here. There's one universe. We don't have, don't we talk about the billions, hundreds of billions of planets and celestial objects in the sky, in the universe, as far as we can see and so much further beyond? But they're not separate things. They're individuations. I think of the universe as, I think of all those things as being like cells. Remember, we've got like several trillion cells that go together to make us up. And I think we could carry that logic a little further and say that the human body, not individual human bodies, the body of humanity is kind of analogous to the same thing. We are all individuated cells within that body, and we all function just like the cells in our body to make it work. We function together with different things going on to make that body of humankind function properly. And everything else is the same thing. It's just little cells in this giant body that we call universe. It's a oneness. And when we understand that, when we really truly, I mean, it's easy just to say it, you know, but when we really truly understand that there are things that can happen right here, right now, that affect something on the very outer edges of the known universe instantaneously, there cannot be any separation for that to happen. It has to be that it is just one, and we're some glorious part of that. And sometimes, going back to Michael's song, sometimes, didn't we buy the ticket and just watch half the show? Because we forget that. We forget it. You know, I'm going to talk about Maria Popova. Because, as it turns out, she had a couple of little mini poems here that, in fact, I'll take a couple of them out right now because I got to save some for, we got all month to do this. Oops. Oh, this is the ivory-billed woodpecker. Wow, words of wisdom from the ivory-billed woodpecker. Where else would we expect such logic from? It is the nature of the mind to live in the confines of its ideas until you encounter something never imagined, some great profusion of the heart that suddenly enlarges reality and tasks you with being wholly alive. And we can't do that if we're watching half the show. We can't do that if we think that we are separate. If we think that everything else that goes on in the universe doesn't have anything to do with us except peripherally, our awareness of it, our use of it, our need of many things is kind of peripheral. But the basic axiom, the tenet that all of us are part of this one huge body is just solid. When we keep that in mind, we understand that. Have you ever been with somebody and they started to say something and you instantly knew what that was going to be? How can that be? If we're not one part of the same consciousness, how can that be? And if you sense somebody is feeling something, and we do that all the time, how can that be if we're not all part of the same body? Ooh, now we have the wandering rice bird. Have you ever heard of a wandering rice bird? Well, let's see what it's learned in its wanderings. Believe that the impossible is only a narrow idea and not a broad fact. Believe that the powers of attention and love are sufficient to make the possible real. And doesn't that go back to Debra's reading? All things are possible. When they are not, it's because we have narrowed our vision and we have devolved into looking through our human eyes instead of looking through that single eye, that eye of the heart, that eye of spirit. Instead of looking through that and allowing it to embed all there is within us and bring our awareness to it, we're kind of stumbling through life. And there's no reason to do that, except sometimes we just, I don't know, we take things for granted sometimes. And everything that's out there, all the joy, all the beauty, all the abundance and prosperity, all the community, all the every God quality you can begin to think of is out there in its entirety. There's no such thing as an end to how much peace a person can have. There's no end to how much beauty somebody can enjoy, or how much love somebody can give or receive, or how much happiness we can have. There are no parameters. The only parameters is we looking through that narrow little piece of our human vision, or are we looking with that eye of the heart, that single eye of spirituality? You know, there are people who argue that, well, that all sounds good, Bill, but really? There's no God. Oh. And you know that because I'm an atheist, and that's worked out very nicely for me. And surprisingly, not everybody in the spiritual community, but everybody with a certain openness of mind understands and will quickly explain to us that there's no such thing as an atheist. There's no such thing as a person who doesn't believe in a power greater than they are. You don't have to believe in God. Lots of people don't. And they live very successful, very spiritual lives because they understand that there is a power greater than they are, and it is at work all the time, and it can be accessed by them, and they use it to direct their life. We call it God. Call it whatever you want. It's a power that's available to everybody. People who claim to be atheists, well, there might be the person who's a scientist and says that, well, no, everything's just one vast mechanical kind of working together somehow. Even they will tell you that there's an intelligence at work here.
Yeah.
And yet, such a tiny, tiny, tiny step from that, of course there's an intelligence at work, to, well, that intelligence is consciousness. Just a little tiny step, but it's a very profound step, because the difference is self-awareness. It's awareness of what's going on in this universe, not just the fact that there's some sort of blind intelligence running it. Or you might have the person that says, oh, I'm an atheist because when I was younger, my little sister got very ill and I prayed for her to survive and she died, so I know there's no God. Or you might have the person who says, well, it's, you know, it's not politically sound for me to have a God, so I have to be an atheist. And are these things real? Well, of course they're real. There are people saying them, people doing them. The thing is that they are atheists intellectually. Because there's no such thing as an atheist in a being that was created from the only substance there is, God's substance, life, and is powered and animated and activated by the only presence that there is. Remember, the cookie crumbs lead us back to our divine beginning, to that creation that created us of itself, that positive, powerful creation that became us. And because that's where we come from, because we have that divinity installed within us, because it can never be removed, ever, it's not possible, because it's in every cell in our body. Remember, there's a little biophoton in every cell in our body. There's light in every cell of our being. That light is that light of divinity, that light of God, if you will, that light of spirituality, that light of creation. It can never be taken away from us. We can't be deprived of it. It's part of who we are. That's be like trying to take the wet out of water. You can't do it. And yet in this universe, look at the systems we have. You know, we have the system of the sun that derives water from the earth, turns it into rain and returns it to us. Used to be clean. I'm not sure if it still is or not, but it returns it nonetheless. And then we have bacteria that dissolve dead things and bring us the nitrogen that the planet needs. There are tens of thousands of systems like this going on all the time. And none of them is an individual happening. Every one of them is some part of the process of life, some part of the one life that we all live. And when we keep that in mind, when we put our focus on it, we put our attention on it, it's much easier for us to access that divinity within, to access that power and to direct it for the good that we know it's going to be. And we have to direct it for good because, you know, we talk a lot about healing in this philosophy, and we do a lot of healing in this philosophy. And we say that we get to use this one mind. So then, you know, the same person that's, you know, claimed to be the atheist might ask, well, does that mean voodoo's a thing? You mean I can direct this power to do whatever I want? Because, you know, there's this guy I work with that, man, is he going to get it? No, it doesn't work like that. Because when we connect with, when we align our interior thinking, our consciousness with that divine consciousness of which we are a part, always, when we remove all the barriers between our thinking and its thinking, we haven't healed anything. All we've done is we've revealed the truth about a situation or a person. And we can do that all day long. We can reveal the truth about anybody. And the truth about anybody is never, ever negative. Because the truth of our being is that we are all positively made from that one substance, empowered by that divine power. That can't be negative. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about bringing everything together under this umbrella, if you will, if that's an easier vision, of all living, doing, being the same organism. See, I don't know how I got off on that. So, yeah, there's this book, the Ernest Holmes Papers. It used to be 3 books. And then they combined them all, you know, into one book. Kind of like that big double thing of Science of Mind, you know, where they had the original 1927 version and then the newer one. Pretty soon we're going to have one book and it's going to be about this tall. We're going to need a step ladder to get up and turn those first couple of pages. At any rate, within the part of the book that used to be the book of Ideas of Power, Ernest Holmes said this: "There is that in you wed to the universe, soul to soul, mind to mind, spirit to spirit, and it is forevermore holding you in its embrace." Then he quotes the poem, "A love so infinite, deep, and broad, that men have renamed it and called it God." That's why it's okay to use that. Now I know that term has been abused horrifically, and I understand why people don't want to use it. I went for 50 years refusing to use that word because of the connotation, because I just could not believe that there's some old guy, and I wasn't old at that time, but some old guy, you know, with a beard and a robe, signaling me out when I did something wrong, or signaling me out for a little bit of tiny reward when no. It's just, it's that love that creation is, that we're all involved in, that allows us to do all of these things, and we can call it whatever we want. He says, "You and I use the mind that is God, therefore we do not put any power into our thought." I want you just to think about that for a second, because a lot of times people say, well, geez, I wish I could do that. And I hear you. I know what you're talking about. It's just sometimes I sit down and I try to do that, and I can't, I just don't have that power. Hello? The person who's ever been the most successful in healing in the world 2,000 years ago, Jesus of Nazareth, just spilled the beans. He took the mystery right out of it. He said, hey, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting the power into this healing. I'm just directing that power of that life principle. Father, he called it. God, we can call it. Call it whatever you want. I'm directing that, and I'm revealing the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are is a whole, complete, healthy, perfect person in the mind of God. There's no anything other than perfection in the mind of God. And the only time that we get to indulge in something less than perfection is when we allow ourselves to be separated. And I know, so the next thing is, well, geez, Bill, you think I did this on purpose? You know, you think I separated on purpose? No, absolutely not. We've been conditioned to separate ourselves. We've been conditioned to not believe, to give some lip service to intellectually understand this thing about a possible God. but not to cast aside everything that isn't it and really get to the truth of the matter. Some people do. Jesus did. And the mystics, the solid hardcore, the principles, if you will, of every major religion did it. And they all said the same thing. Every religion at its base is the same. They all say the same thing. There's one power, there's one presence. We call it this. We can use it for anything. And then all at once we turned into all these convoluted things where, well, you know, only I can get you there, and only I can, you know, you have to do this and say this and do that. And it's all hogwash. We get so inundated with doctrine and dogma and things that aren't even important. In fact, not only are they not important, they lead us in the wrong direction. They are misdirection plays. All we ever have to do is allow ourselves to accept everything there is that is free for each of us, free for all of us. And none of that includes the baggage that comes with it. We do not have a negative life principle. We have a positive life principle that knows only to create life and sustain life. Remember, again, Jesus, the master teacher, and they asked him, you know, what's God think about the dead people? He doesn't think anything of them because it's not God of the dead, he's God of the living. And everybody is living all the time. We don't quite have that understanding sometimes, maybe, but if everything is just one, it's all happening at the same time. I shouldn't get into that. That's bend your head around that for a little bit. Oh, and here's why we're always following those cookie crumbs, looking for that connection. Okay, we know that the universe is not operating by blind chance. I mean, what are the odds? He says at birth, each is built into him, well, let's say each is built into him or her, an eternal hunger for reunion with its maker. Some recognize it early in life, others later, some never at all, but it's there nevertheless. So you might know somebody, you could be somebody, we're not in here, who doesn't ever understand this. Lives their entire life watching half the show, their whole life, never gets it. That doesn't change it. The fact that I don't know something, the fact that I didn't see something happen, has no bearing on anything. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I don't know it, doesn't mean it isn't so. And that goes for all of us. So you get to the person who says atheist, or you get to the person who says, well, yeah, but it doesn't work for me. It is so in that they allow that thinking to take place. Do we have to? No. Because this love, this joy, this beauty, this thing called life, this principle of life, this basic divinity that is within us in every cell of our body that connects us forever and eternally to each other, to every other creature on the face of the planet and beyond, and to that divine creator itself, is there and it's working and it's functioning whether we are aware of it or not. So my suggestion is, let's try to be aware of it. Not just in those better moments, not just in those flashes of inspiration, and I know everybody's had that flash of inspiration. We don't have to let it be a flash. We can allow it to enter and say, oh, there's that flash. I'm going to keep it this time. And use it to direct ourselves for our good for our highest and best promise, and for the same for everybody that we know. So with this in mind, let's just take this into prayer. Let's just know that creative possibility that allowed this universe to be in the beginning works, is active, is a part and parcel of our very existence at this moment and at every moment. But we especially pay attention to it being created and active in our being this moment, because this is the moment that we can direct it. This is the moment that we can recognize it, become aware of it, and accept it into our intellect, into our consciousness. We can pull it up out of our subconsciousness. We can pull it up out of being hidden in each cell in our body and bring it to the fore, and bring that light as one aura that comes from us, knowing that that is the divine presence, that that is us individuating, expressing as God, as itself. And knowing that this is the case, and knowing that everything we could ever want is already here. It's not there, it's here. And it is accessed from within ourselves, and it is free. There is no charge. We never paid a price, but if we did, it was right at our inception. It was right at the creation of the entire universe. It was in the nanosecond of the Big Bang, and before, because prior to that it was truly, obviously, one being as one consciousness. So knowing that one consciousness sustains today, and that each of us is a part and parcel of it, and that each of us is privy to all the freedom, all the joy, all the happiness, all the love, all the beauty that is included in that consciousness. I just say thank you, God. I just let this word be, knowing that it is so, and so it is. This is our opportunity to share of our good, knowing that all of our good comes from that one source, and so it is. We're just grateful for it. So thank you for your continued support, knowing that it is your support that keeps us going as a spiritual center. And for those not in the sanctuary, but supporting from a distance, thank you also. And let's just know that we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they are given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forth to do their great work in the world with no strings and no conditions, and so it is.
Some dreams live on in time forever. Those dreams you want with all your heart, and I'll do whatever it takes. Follow through with the promise I made. Put it all on the line. What I hope for at last will be mine. If I could reach higher, just for one moment, touch the sky. For that one moment in my life, I'm gonna be stronger. Know that I've done my very best. I put my spirit to the test. If I could reach, some things are meant to be remembered. Those days we rise above the stars. So I'll go the distance this time, seeing more the higher I climb. that the more I believe, all the more that this dream will be mine. If I could reach higher, just for one moment touch the sky. From that one moment in my life, I'm gonna be stronger. Know that I've done my very best. I put my spirit to the test. If I could reach, if I could reach higher, just for one moment, touch the sky. From that one moment in my life, I'm gonna be stronger. Know that I've tried my very best. I put my spirit to the test. If I could reach higher, just for one moment, touch the sky. For what that moment in my life, I'm gonna be stronger. Know that I've tried my very best. I put my spirit to the test. If I could reach,
Whoa, I believe you reached me. We just got all of Michael Whitney and Tommy Cosentino. Thank you, thank you. Something incredible is happening through me right now.
something incredible is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
This thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
It's grace.
It's grace.
It's favor.
It's favor.
It's joy and beauty.
It's joy and beauty.
It's all mine.
It's all